on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Joey JCM. Yes. And today, we are talking about something, the PlayStation 4. I've actually wanted to make this video for a long time. Long time thoughts on this video and what this is about. So, it needs to be talked about. The PlayStation 4, what it did. But more importantly, all of the monsters. Yes, all of the monsters that PlayStation 4 destroyed. Okay? All of those creatures that it took down. Let's take ourselves back to the time right before PS4 was coming out. There was a couple of things going on at that time. A couple of doomsday, well, you can say predictions, but more of manufactured predictions. Because these were, I mean, if you ask me, more of things that came from companies that wanted you to believe that the future was going a certain way. Because if they led you towards that path, it would be the path of less quality, but you're paying more money. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's a bunch of things, a few things here that the PlayStation 4 really did destroy, and after it came out, all of a sudden these things weren't talked about anymore. Because the PS4 said it's fucking morphing time, and they called upon their fucking Megazord, and they just fucking said, we need the power sword, whatever the fuck it was called, and they just sliced down Goldar, fucking this creature, that creature, whatever Rita Repulsa made grow with her staff. The PlayStation 4 said, let's go. And they said, Zordon, we got this, and they sliced these monsters down. And one of those monsters was, let's see here, Mobile. I can't even fucking say it really. Mobile, ooh, was going to destroy everything, take over consoles, and blah, 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 blah. At that time, mobile was, a lot of mobile things were on the rise, and, the subject was a lot of, cheaper games were on the rise at that time that had you, paying money slowly, small money, but the idea was to have you constantly pay money as often as possible, whether it was $1 or this dollar or that. It didn't matter because you have people constantly paying $1. How many millions of people download these simple games and they're constantly paying $1 every day? Times that by how many people? So obviously, certain corporations, certain companies that don't really care about the art, they're just, using art to, in whatever way possible, in a cheap way, to squeeze and take advantage of people, squeeze the money out of people, So these certain companies that don't really give a shit about what they're making, they wanted to push this, implore this as much as possible. Why put all this effort into making these awesome art experiences? Why put all this effort and money into having these people make these beautiful things when you could just make some simple, cheap games and have people pay constantly? Yeah! So obviously certain companies loved that idea. So they were pushing this thing, consoles are dying, blah, 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 because I want to pay smaller teams to make cheaper games. PS4 comes out and, all those people wanted to predict that it wasn't going to do good. PS4 killed it. PS4, I think, broke records. I think at one point, supposedly it was selling faster than PS2 was at that time period of the release and stuff like that. So PS4, that's one thing that, one corporate piece of bullshit that PS4 had destroyed at the time, that mobile was going to take over and consoles were dead and shit like that. So PS4 completely destroyed that because it sold amazingly, it sold awesomely. And that leads me into the next thing. Speaking of companies, We have EA. At that time, maybe even a little after PS4 was released also. Okay, so that didn't work, right? Mobile taking over didn't work. So consoles are here to stay, obviously. There's room for everybody. There's room for consoles, there's room for mobile games. There's room for it all, baby. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna go away. Consoles ain't gonna go away. Sorry. So, I guess a company like EA at the time said, shit! Consoles aren't going away. Look what PS4 just did. It just proved us fucking wrong. Shit. Wipe the shit off of my ass. Change my underwear. I got shit all over my tighty-whitey underwear. So now EA says consoles are here to stay. So the next piece of bullshit they tried to pull was, alright, if we have to deal with consoles, how can we mutilate this situation? So they were like, oh, single-player games are dead, blah, 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 blah. So they wanted to, because obviously, you know, they weren't really caring at the time. So all these companies that don't care about the art, it's such a sick mindset. It's such a fucking sick mindset, because if you care about the art, not only are you going to make money, you're going to make money over time. You know what I'm saying? And you're creating something that people are going to want to buy potentially forever. You know what I mean? You're creating something that, you know, now if you want to release it later on down the road, you know, especially games that came from the last generation, now you can make these like 4K upgrades and stuff. People, you know, if you make an awesome piece of art, would gladly pay again and to play this awesome thing again. You know, not only would they potentially pay again to play the game, you know, they're going to pass the word down to people that maybe have not played that game. And, you know, they're going to pass that awesome news to somebody else. And now you're going to have other people that are going to want to play the game because of, you know, the great reputation and how awesome this thing was. So if you care about the art, you're potentially creating something that's going to sell forever. I mean, Star Wars is the perfect example of an uncorporate piece of art that was passed down from generation to generation. Obviously, it's owned by a corporation now, and that's a different story. But that's a whole nother subject. But that's the gist of what I'm talking about here. So, now EA, at the time, trying to tell people that single-player games are dead. I laugh extensively there, because what did Sony do? Another thing that PlayStation 4 did? Pretty much, especially at the end of the PS3 era, where The Last of Us, right? Really, I think The Last of Us was the first game that really cemented, solidified, and if you didn't know before, now you knew that PlayStation exclusives were heavy hitters, extreme heavy hitters, must-play situations, can't miss them, right? So it was The Last of Us that really kicked that off. I mean, PlayStation always had awesome brands like God of War, Twisted Metal, Jak and Daxter, companies that made for them, you know, Naughty Dog and stuff like that. Who's the other guys? Not Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank. So Sony and PlayStation always had an awesome exclusive lineup, but it was really, from how I remember it, The Last of Us that really, you know, just made this impact that forever solidified Sony exclusives from that point. So then PS4 comes out and continues that, you know, awesome experience of what The Last of Us was. So PS4 comes out and just has these amazing, like I said before, can't miss experiences. The list just goes on and on. The new God of War, the list just fucking goes on and on. Let me see here. So let me hone in on the thinking here. You got fucking Bloodborne. That was another one. Uncharted 4, right? Days Gone. Horizon Zero Dawn. It's Spider-Man. You know what I mean? It was just boom after boom after boom after boom. And now, oh my God, what happened all of a sudden, right? What happened all of a sudden? Then EA, oh, What? I, I don't understand. What happened? All of a sudden, they start making single-player games again. Interesting, right? It's so interesting how, it's just sad how, like, they're making those single-player games based on, like, the notion of, shit, we gave up on trying to convince people to stray away from awesome pieces of art like single-player games. And now you're making single-player... like, I mean, hey, they're making them again, so whatever, it's like, we won, but still, it's just sad that you have a company that would try to, push you towards something where they don't really care about the experience you're having. They just want to manipulate your thinking into just paying them money as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're manipulating your thinking. And that's just really yucky and disgusting and whatever. But yeah, it's just funny how all of a sudden EA started making single-player games again, like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And I don't know, I can't really think too much about EA right now, but I feel like there's at least one more. But yeah, that's just, as we're saying, another PS4 monster that they destroyed. That single-player games are dead. So far we have mobile games are going to take over and destroy consoles. Consoles are not going to be no more. PS4 said Yaokai. EA says single-player games are dead, trying to manipulate the situation further because consoles weren't dying because of PS4. And then, all of a sudden we have them making single-player games again, and Sony proved that the want and awesomeness and desire for single-player games. I mean, single-player games really are the base, I feel. You know what I mean? Look, especially, let's look at Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Who's gonna remember that game? You know what I mean? Like, you don't hear anybody talking about Black Ops 4 anymore because they tried to stray away from... There really wasn't a single-player campaign. There was single-player little mini things in there, but overall, the general thing that you spread about that game is that there was no single-player experience in that game. And even if there's people that don't really play the Call of Duty single-player experience, when it's not there... I mean, there was only one time where it wasn't there, as far as I can recall, where it was Black Ops 4. But when it's not there... it really just empties the experience because there's so much that you can just like shoot and shoot and shoot until it's like, okay, why am I shooting? You know what I mean? If there's no, if you don't have a story to stand behind or a situation to stand behind, like what era am I in? The 80s, this and that. Like, oh, it's so cool to be, I'm using this 80s tech now, or I'm using this modern warfare tech. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta have the story behind it. And, I mean, look, this Call of Duty single-player experience, like, a lot of people, I don't know, say stuff about it, but it's really a quality thing. You know what I mean? It's really, they put a lot there. You know what I mean? You're playing it. And at one point, I actually said to myself, I was like, this kind of reminds me of, like, Modern GoldenEye. Oh, but, like, you just got to have that story there. And multiplayer is always going to come second. You know what I mean? Is always going to... I mean, you have things like, Fortnite and stuff, but... the PlayStation 4 proved that you can't just, every now and then a game like that will come along. I don't think Fortnite really has a story, but they kind of update things all the time or whatever the hell. But it's so funny how you have a game like Fortnite now, right? You have a game like Fortnite now, a really successful multiplayer game, but still, no one will tell you that, single-player games are dead because PS4 completely proved, that is not true. People want that, story experience. And like I said, it's not just a story experience. Single-player games, story-based things that's the base of video games. You know, without that, you have no reason. You have no reason. And without that reason, whether you realize it or not, even if you don't play the Call of Duty single-player story, you see the trailer. You see the reasoning behind it. You know it's there. You know you can delve into it if you need to or want to. You know what I'm saying? So the single-player, story experience is, like, to me, the base of everything. Because, I mean, look at Final Fantasy VII. Like, that's not, that's a story. You know what I mean? And, like, look how popular that game is. And even when you have something like Mario, like, let's look at Mario 64, or Mario Sunshine even, or Mario Galaxy. You have this, story adventure, this experience. And what's the reasoning behind it? Even though if it's a simpler reasoning, you still have that reasoning that Mario is going into these worlds to save Peach. You know what I mean? And to save, obviously, his friends too, but, Peach is his main. When you jump into that painting in Mario 64, like, what's the drive behind it? The drive behind it is to fucking do what you gotta do, go on that adventure, fight these bad guys to save Peach and save the fucking castle and shit. You know what I'm saying? So without that story, without that drive, if multiplayer game where you're just shooting a gun, pew 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 pew, like there's so much you could shoot a gun with no reasoning behind it before you're like, okay, I shot the gun, like whatever, okay, boop, like, okay, I'm done now, what's next? You know what I mean? Like, so you gotta have that reason, you gotta have that story. And like I was saying, it's so funny how there's something like Fortnite today, but you'll never hear anybody say that, single player games are dead, because the PS4 really proved that. You'll always have Nintendo, but Nintendo's kind of like sometimes in its own category, you know what I mean? PlayStation kind of took over like the base scenario of certain things sometimes. Although I'm very happy that Switch, really has these awesome, single player experiences. And I think it was like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which obviously can be a multiplayer game, but at the base of it, you can play it single player. But yeah, it was really, I remember when Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 came out, classic, basic Marvel. No, corporate manipulation in there, as far as I saw. When you have that classic, basic Marvel, and the quality that game was, it really, put Switch in this scenario where Switch really, truly became a heavy hitter, serious, single player story system. And you gotta have those. If you don't have those experiences, what is a system that just has all these multiplayer things? These loose, just flash, flash, flash. That doesn't hold no substance. It doesn't fill your heart. It doesn't, really create too many memories that fill your heart and soul, and that, really make these systems like a family member to you. You know what I mean? Went off on a little tangent there about Switch, but the point remains about the single player stuff, and how it's just really the base and the foundation of video games. So yeah, so you'll never hear that again, that single player games are dead. And even in this Fortnite world, and even before Fortnite, you had PUBG, you had man, what was the other one? It was a first-person shooter. Damn, I could picture it. It's cartoony looking. Oh, it was right there on the tip of my tongue. I'll think of it at some point, maybe. But even in a world like that, what did EA do? Reneged and made something like Jedi Fallen Order a single-player game. So yeah, single-player experiences, another monster. The notion that they're no more needed because they wanted to make you believe that so they can squeeze money out of you in a really inhuman way. That's the monster PS4 destroyed, And this last one here that I have, is another kind of mindset scenario where you have, when, PS4 and Xbox One were originally coming out, you had the scenario where, they were going to make Xbox One this, another inhuman, really situation where the system had to be connected online, and it checked you every midnight or something to make sure you're still connected online. Because if they checked you and you weren't connected online, you wouldn't have access to your games. What? God, I'm so happy this notion of, you know, taking ownership away more and more was just completely nuked. Really, we're just nuked. You know what I mean? And that's another monster that PS4 destroyed. That mindset that, you know, Microsoft was trying to push at that time, before Xbox One came out, before PS4 came out. That mindset of just like look at all these examples of scenarios where they really tried to make you not own things as much as possible. Just you know, make things in the cheapest way they could try to strive for, but also have you pay more and more and more. You know what I mean? So, man, yeah, that another thing that PS4 destroyed was that mindset. Because look at what Xbox did. They completely got rid of that, right? They completely got rid of that. So PS4, another monster that they destroyed was this mindset of that Xbox was going with, of just, you know, you had to be connected online to play your games. Like, what? Like, God forbid my internet when it happened to go out, right? My internet goes out, and that's around the time the Xbox One gets checked, and then, oh, they're not connected to the internet anymore. Cut off all their games. What? Cut off everything we paid for? What is this? Why are you trying to tell me what moves to make? How to live my life? When and where I can watch things? When and where I can play things? What am I giving you money for? For what kind of experience am I giving you money for? You know what I mean? So that was another monster that PS4 destroyed. So, I mean, PS4 really, man, took care of so... And you had these things backed by these companies, these big companies with a lot of money, greedy bastards who just didn't give a fuck about art at all. You know, all these ideas that were backed by these people that were trying to be pushed to try to convince you how to think in order for them to make you work in a certain way. To make you just, you know, punch that card soullessly, you know, and just, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, to just, not concerned about making you happy, but just concerned about convincing you, depressing you into giving them money as much as possible. What is this? Why am I giving money in exchange for, like, a flat line? For mediocrity, you know what I mean? Man, you know? So that's my story here today. This is something that I was thinking about for a long time, and now right before PS5 comes out, I really wanted to just, you know, tip my hat to PS4 and really just, this has to be talked about, you know? I don't give a fuck if no one's thinking about it. This is something that just has to be talked about. All the things that PS4 really fucking destroyed. All the sick notions, all the sick mentality that PS4 destroyed. And how it just got rid of all that garbage, nuked it. Like fucking Resident Evil 3. Like fucking nuking Raccoon City of all the virus. You know what I mean? Yeah, I hope most people have played. You know, the game's been around for 20 years, so I hope it's not a spoiler. But you know what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. It's just, I had to make this video. I had to tip my hat to PS4. Not that this is like a final goodbye, because I'm still, the backlog is big, you know what I mean? And, you know, these new systems don't really have a lot of space, so there will still be a lot of things I'm using my PS4 for. So it's not a final goodbye to PS4, but, you know, as we switch over to the next generation, PS5, you know, PS5 will be taking the driver's seat, I guess you can say, so as we enter the next generation. I wanted to really just talk about this it's important. It's really, PS4 really did a lot of big things. And it's not even talking about all the things that PS4 gave us. The opportunity to stream. To stream, right? You don't need any extra equipment. You had a PS4, and you had, you know, aspiration to stream. They gave you that opportunity. And then along with things like SharePlay. What? SharePlay was so mind-blowing at the time. I get to see your screen. I get to see a friend's screen. Maybe a game that I want to check out, which I've done. Remember Watch Dogs with Big J Hodes? You know, not only did I get to check the game out, I from his system, using my controller at my house, I not only got to see the game, but I had the option to try the game out, play the game out. You know what I mean? Like, so, this is not even mentioning all the things that PS4, you know, gave us also. You know what I mean? So PS4 was really some shit, man. PS4 was really some fucking shit. Like, honestly. So I really had to give it a salute here today and just mention all these things. And I really just, I guess, just thank you, PS4, for saving art, saving video games. Because imagine a world where you didn't have God of War, you didn't have all those games that I just listed, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted 4, and, you know, all those things. I mean, you know, Spider-Man, PS4. Imagine a world where that mindset, imagine a timeline where that mindset was used. What would we have? We'd probably have the destruction of video games, because like I said, how much, because these companies don't care. These companies don't care. They want to do whatever to make the quickest dollar, and then if the shit implodes, the fuck do they care? They're rich corporate people. They go retreat to their mansions. They don't give a shit. They're just there to come in and, oh, how can I suck money from this thing over here? Okay, it dies because we never gave a fuck about the heart and soul of the art, or the art in general. Okay, whatever. Go back to my mansion. Oh, I get another phone call. There's another thing I could suck the blood out of. They'll go over there and suck as much money as they can over there. And then if that fails, you know, they go back to their mansion again, you know. So honestly, you know, Nintendo would be the last kind of stand there if, because Nintendo kind of doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? Nintendo does its own thing, which is cool. But obviously Sony gives a shit. Well, you know, whatever was going on with the PS4 at that time, the company definitely gave a shit. You know what I mean? So, man, just thank you to PS4. And I gotta say, PS4, I mean, honestly, all the things I listed there, and like I said, all the things that it gave us on top of that, really was one of my favorite systems of all time. Even the controller, and just what it gave us in the notion of, you know, I always loved, you know, taking screenshots of video games. I used to do it like with my digital camera. But look what PS4 did in that aspect too. I know Xbox One can take pictures and record video also, but you kind of have to press the Xbox button, then press another button and stuff like that, which is whatever. You know, it's still the opportunity to do it, but you know, on Xbox Series X, I believe now they're incorporating an actual, you know, share button. But PS4 had that share button already, and PS4, simply by, you know, holding down the button for a second, screenshot, you know, and then I think you have to press the button and, you know, press record that clip. But, you know, it was mostly quick, you know, especially with the screenshots, boom, right there. Or you can switch the buttons around where that could be the hold it down for a second was the video, and, you know, pressing the button and then pressing whatever other button was the screenshot. You could reverse it, I believe. But still, quick, simple, easy. You know, especially someone like me who likes to make videos. You know what I mean? Even if you don't like to make videos, you want like a compilation of cool moments with your friends that happened. They also gave us Share Factory, where you can take those clips, a nice little editing program, where you can take all that stuff and in a pretty easy, simple way, make your own little compilation, or just make a little video clip of all those clips, all those cool moments. and stuff like that. So PS4 really gave us so much, especially for someone like me who loves art, who loves to make videos, and I mean, who doesn't like to capture, even if you're not like a big artist, you know what I mean? Who doesn't like to capture a fucking moment when you're playing Call of Duty where you went fucking 25 and 2, you know what I mean? Oh shit, quick screenshot, boom. You know what I mean? So I guess I can go on and on about PS4, but, you know, wanted to take this moment just to thank PS4, what it did, how it saved so many scenarios, and just what it gave us and shit too, you know what I mean? The controller, the games, the experiences, so thank you PS4, and most of all, like I said with the subject of this video, thank you for destroying all those monsters, because the timeline of not having those monsters destroyed, like I said, what does it leave us? What does it leave us? A bunch of games where you just shoot a gun for a little while, and then what? Then what? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if, you know, maybe you didn't realize these things, or maybe just hearing this all in one compilation, like, oh shit, wow, the PS4 really did do some crazy things, and really accomplish some crazy scenarios, and really did save us, and really did destroy a lot of monsters. Let me know your experience with PS4, and you know, what you're thankful for with PS4 as we move into the PS5 time. And yeah, just let me know your overall experience with PS4, and maybe something, you know, an experience you want to add to the list. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joey JCM. And guys, I will see you later. Ah,